Hi, everyone. I'm Lily. I'm the founder and CEO of Auggie. I'm also a mom to a 4-year-old, but I don't think I have the youngest baby on this call. I also have a 3-month-old, but Amanda, I know you're behind me. Safe to say, I am very much in it with all of you. We are so excited to have you here for this really special conversation. Before we dive in, just quickly, Augie is a parenting community where you can find answers. We have support, trusted recommendations, and expert-led events just like this one, a conversation with female founders shaping the future of parenting. I have so much respect for moms building in this space. Well, I have so much respect for moms, period. Then I have so much respect for moms building in this space. I know firsthand how important the problems we're solving truly are and how deeply they affect families. So thank you all for your work. Today is about lifting that work up together and showing what happens when women build products with empathy, clarity, and heart, I would say would be my third word there. Before we dive in, just a few quick housekeeping notes. One, this session is being recorded. Two, the replay will be available either in the Augie app or on Augie.com following this event, so catch up there. And feel free to drop questions or thoughts or reactions in the chat. I'll do my best to monitor it and get questions answered. But first, we have a very special conversation. We have a lot to talk about, so let's just do a quick round robin. You can say your name, where you live, how many kids you have, and your title. So Emily, you're first on my screen. Why don't you kick us off?
Sure. Hi, thanks for having me. So excited. I'm Emily. I am one of the co-founders and president of Joy Parenting Club. I have 2 kids, 7 and 4.5, and thrilled to be in this group.
Awesome. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, so nice to see you guys. Lily, thank you so much for having myself and Poppylist on the call. To everyone that joined, I'm Sarah. I'm the founder and CEO of Poppylist. I live in Austin with my family, 2 daughters. Amelia is 6.5 and Zoe is 3.5. And so excited to chat with all of you guys today.
Cool. Hi, Susie. Back-to-back Susie meetings for me today. Love it.
We were just on another call, so we get to spend all day together. It's so fun. I'm Susie. I'm the co-founder of Hearth, and I have one 17-month-old right now who is like in an angelic phase. So no one tell me if that's ever going to change, because right now it's great. Yeah, in Denver, longtime New Yorker, but moved out here when my husband and I wanted to start a family because I'm a Denver native. So it's nice to have family support around. And honestly, just have to say, like, it is wild to me to be on a call with so many amazing female founders building in this space. Like, it's so encouraging to me to see the way that everyone is coming at the problems that we know that parents face today, and really excited for this conversation.
Me too. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, everybody. Lily, thank you so much for having me and for letting me represent Riley here. I'm Amanda. I am also a mom of 2. I have a 3-year-old, Eleonora, and a 6-week-old, Elio. So I also am very much in it with all of the moms on this call. And, you know, live in San Francisco. I'm actually originally from California. So, you know, very, very pleased to be here. And can't echo Susie enough. Just so inspired by all of the female founders on this call. And I don't know if I mentioned this, I'm the founder and CEO of Riley.
Most importantly.
Hey.
For this. No, just kidding. Mom is.
No.
All right, let's jump in. Parenting is one of the most personal experiences you can have, and so many of us build because we lived a pain point that I feel like no one else seemed to be solving. So if it's okay with you ladies, let's start with the why. What was the moment you realized I need to build this? And Susie, why don't you kick us off? Because I feel like your journey is really interesting because you started Hearth before even being a parent. So how has that why evolved?
Okay,
your volume's a little weird. So Sarah, why don't you kick us off, and Susie, we'll come back to you.
Okay, sure. So, gosh, my why, there was a few, but I think my why that everyone will relate to. So when I was pregnant with my first, I was the first of my sisters and friends to have a baby.
Yeah.
And despite spending 40 hours plus researching my baby registry, I still ended up with a crib that I did not intend to buy. So I texted my sister a picture of this crib, and she texted me back. She's like, "That looks like a dog bed for Tank." And I was like, "Well, it's not. It's Amelia's crib." She goes, "Send me the dimensions." So I sent her the dimensions, and she's like, "You ordered." My sister's an interior designer. She goes, "You ordered a mini crib." And that was not what I wanted. It ended up being fine. But the point is, after all of this research, I still ended up with something I didn't want. And it just like wasn't what I thought I was getting. And rightfully so. There's strict safety regulations in the States. I couldn't send it back. We already assembled it. We're so excited. But that sort of was like my first aha moment, despite having a registry. And then when Amelia was born, not being prepared whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's not really all this stuff on the registry that's going to prepare you to become a parent. And I think we can all agree like nothing will prepare you to become a parent until you are one. But the products felt secondary to me. And I think those few moments I was like, okay, I don't need to reinvent the wheel, but how could I make this experience for people a little bit simpler? And if I could just help someone prepare to become a mom or dad like 1% better, I will have done something really meaningful. So that was certainly the why behind Poppylist.
That sounds awesome. Okay, Susie, you're muted. Let's see if you're back.
Am I back?
Yes, you are. Welcome back.
It was your audio was off for me, so I was like, is it Lily? Is it me?
Oh.
No, I apologize. I did have to take off my headphones, so I hope the audio sounds okay now.
You sound perfect.
Great. Yeah, we started building Hearth before becoming moms. There's 3 of us for context, all moms now. But none of us were moms when we first started building. And I have so much admiration for actually starting to build post becoming a mom. I'm sure you all know Sheila Marcello, who founded care.com and is now working on a really interesting parenting tech product. She said something that really stuck with me as she thinks about innovating in this space. She was like, if not me, who? Like, how can we realistically, with the lack of support systems in place, expect moms to build? Like, how do we? So I have like so much like admiration for people who start building post becoming parents. We started before that journey and have really kind of like grown into become our core customer and who we always saw our core customer as being. But I think what's interesting about that journey is like, yes, there's so much complexity and depth now that we apply to Hearth as parents that we wouldn't have been able to maybe before, but our core vision for the company hasn't changed. Like, we knew what the problem and pain point was, and that's because we build alongside a community, and that piece has been so fundamental to who Hearth is and building alongside parent insights in a way that we can support them.
Yeah, I love that. Amanda?
Gosh, I couldn't agree more. I definitely also had that if not me, who moment, where my whole career I've been on the tech side of tech. I've been a product manager, so the person kind of bringing the tools that we all use, especially technology tools, to market, understanding users, understanding user pain points. And when I became pregnant almost 4 years ago, my husband, also a product manager, and I would just like joke to each other that we product managed the heck out of pregnancy. We bought all the things, read all the books, did everything that we felt like, we could to prepare. And we would joke and be like, we're as prepared as 2 people could possibly be to have children. And every mom in the room knows that there's really no way to prepare. There's really no way to kind of like get your head around what it's actually going to be like. And to kind of add to all of that, I had postpartum depression and wasn't really on my bingo card, was very, very difficult that first time. And I remember sitting up at like 3 a.m. just kind of thinking about, gosh, it is so hard to get like really good information about like, what should I be doing? Is my daughter okay? Am I okay? Like, what's normal? Really, like, what is going on? What should I be doing right now? And like the process of trying to find answers and find that really good support was just like going down these internet rabbit holes of anecdotes.
Oh yeah, the dark holes are real.
It's awful. And it's like so full of like people and their opinions about things. And you're like, I just want someone who knows the science, who knows me, who can say, all right, here's what we know, here's what's supported by data, and here's what applies to you personally. And so it was really kind of, again, like sitting there and being like, if I don't build this, I don't think it's going to get built. And I so desperately wanted that if I'm the only user who uses this product that I have in my head, that will be success to me because I want it so badly. And,
Yeah.
that's how Riley came to be, which has been also as a second time mom now with a little baby, like using it 27 times a day. It is the product that I really wanted back in the day. And it's so gratifying and so like wonderful, to be like in the space building something that I like desperately wanted and now use all the time.
I love that, how fun that perspective is. I feel that too, like coming back from like maternity leave in quotes actually gave me like such a different perspective because I was like, holy shit, I am the user of this. Like I get it
Wow.
and it's different. Emily, your why?
Similar, I mean, ditto +4 or whatever. So same, very, very similar, unprepared. Although similar to Amanda, I was a teacher. I've been in ed tech for 12 plus
Interesting.
years. It's like if anyone was gonna be able to do it, I was like, I got this. And really felt like the birth story of my son sort of led to the birth story of Joy, where I always use this same analogy, which is the movie 101 Dalmatians. You know, when the dog barks in one house and then the other dog hears him and they bark together and it just sort of like pings all of this, network effect. I think about that as the mom in the middle of the night in the rocking chair, feeling like they're the most isolated, lonely person in the world, but like we're all doing this together and we all have very similar problems, similar questions, similar needs. And the idea of being able to unify these experiences with, expert-backed support was really the why. And so we've sort of thought of like the birth of this support network, not just of like, instant answers from a bot, but like real human response personalized to you and your child. And so to me, it had to be instant, it had to be expert backed, and it had to be around the clock. It couldn't be sometime.
Mhm.
It had to be
The
always.
2 a.m. spiral black hole is a dark place to be.
Instant, human-based, constant, and reliable. And so again, like did the market research as like the customer number one, and then built it for, everyone else that hopefully is being serviced by these awesome tools. And so similarly, product-minded people building something for themselves and for their community.
I love that. My why kind of started with these Google spreadsheets, these intense lists that went around from friend to friend, that were meant to be helpful, but actually were incredibly overwhelming. I was like, holy crap, this is so much, speaking of product, Amanda, like wisdom that isn't being productized at all, coming from the default parent, which, let's be honest, in majority of households in this country happens to be the mom. So Sarah, coming to you because it kind of starts with that, right? Like you need certain things when you have a baby. And if you don't have those things, you aren't prepared, right? Maybe it's a crib, maybe it's a mini crib, but you need something for the baby to sleep in. So let's talk about like building with parents. You built a registry platform where, of course, trust is everything. This is a vulnerable consumer. How do you balance recommending products while staying grounded with what families actually need, not just what's being marketed to them?
Yeah, sure. I think what makes us different in that regard is for the first time ever, like 6 months ago was the first time we ever started to think about brands being able to pay to play. For 5 years, we were, and we still are, an unbiased registry platform. We are not a media company. When you come and build a registry on our site, there's a very curated experience for you as soon as you onboard. We ask you what your parent type is. And it used to be a 10-question quiz, and now it's sort of been like condensed and a little bit modified, but we recommend you 12 products based on that parent type. And then you can sort of filter throughout the other parent types, but it's very simple and underwhelming, but it's like perfectly executed. And so the experience we want for people is to not feel so stressed out. Like our top 10 lists aren't because 10 brands paid us to put their products
tried and true
person, like a list. So it's products that we recommend because my entire team are parents and we've lived through it. My co-founder just had his third baby who's 4 months old, and it's community recommended. In addition to that, like you said, the spreadsheets inside your Poppylist registry, there's a URL. So let's say, Lily, your sister's expecting, I don't know if you have a sister. She can hyperlink this URL and send it to you and all of her friends and say, hey, can you guys recommend the products that you loved the most? And you can recommend them directly inside her registry. And then she can add them in one click or dismiss it. And so it alleviates the spreadsheet, but also you have like this community now inside your registry account. And it just feels very personal and calm. And it doesn't feel overwhelming in the experience I think a lot of us have had the first time building our registry, that hopefully we've been able to solve for a lot of parents. So if that answers your question, I hope that's sort of how
It definitely
about,
does.
helping parents.
Yeah, you go from expecting to expert so quickly. So I
Very.
love that you empower not only the user to share the registry, but then whoever that person is that the user shares the registry with.
Right. So.
Yeah, I love that. At Auggie, like every product decision comes from real-time listening, which I feel like we're all doing in real time. What's coming up in we have a digital community, so what's coming up in our digital communities, what parents are frustrated by, what they're celebrating, which we don't highlight enough because we like to talk about the pain points, but actually there's a lot of celebrating that goes down. So just I want to bring that up because I think it's special. But Emily, coming to you, how do you determine what modern parents, I should say, actually need versus what they're being told they need?
Do you mean in terms of products or just in terms of support or
I
questions
just mean in
or all of
terms
it?
like less products, more like there's so much information out there. And how do we know what they need in this moment versus what's noise?
Such a good question. And well, first of all, when we ask parents where you go for support, we get very similar answers to where I'm sure a lot of you get, which is my friends and family,
Yep.
which includes like my local like Facebook mom group, which I mean, no shade. I love a Facebook mom group.
Yep.
Social media and my pediatrician. So those were like our sort of what people say their go-to channels for these answers. Now that we've spoken, we've had over 500,000 conversations with families starting at day 0. And we can literally see what questions get asked on day 3, day 9, day 39, day 57. And we can see sort of the trends of what's coming up at these exact moments in time, all generated by parents, right? And so now that we can see like, oh, on day 47, people are asking about returning to work more than they were on day 21. We can start to create experiences that actually proactively serve that information for parents before they know they need it. So we can start to say like, you're probably thinking about this and we know you're thinking about this because tens of thousands of parents have told us the same thing. And so being able to sort of follow those journeys on a very, very personal level through these very personal conversations has allowed that data to kind of bubble up, which I think like I love to just nerd out on and get to like really dig my hands into.
Oh, for sure. That's like that's where I shine. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I love that approach. Susie, Hearth is building community infrastructure. Let's talk a little bit about like the digital village, right? Because we hear a lot about like, oh, it takes a village. Where the fuck is that village? I never got it. And then we met and I discovered Hearth and I'm like, okay, this makes sense. What gaps in support did you feel most urgently that when you were becoming a parent and also having a company like Hearth you wanted to solve for? So, what pain points are you translating into a product?
Yeah, I think it's a fair question. I think what I will caveat is that the Hearth experience, I think, is for parents that are like like with kids a little bit older than most of the other products on this call. I think Hearth is kind of like the next evolution and phase of what parenthood looks like. But obviously, my personal experience I can speak to. Hearth primarily right now serves families with like multiple kids ages 4 to 11. That's really where we feel that, I mean, let's be honest, the moment that you enter parenthood, it's chaotic. So by no means am I implying otherwise, but that's really where we feel this like core pain point around the fact that everything that is involved in managing a family, care, coordination, logistics, organization, and even just connection, which is something we're really focused on, becomes an even more acute pain point at that stage. And so that's where we're focused. And the core answer I would give to your question is both as a new parent as well as the parents we serve that are in that demographic.
Yeah.
I really see visibility of information as such a core issue when it comes to creating those moments of connection and creating a system that everyone can participate in. Like that's where we're really focused. I think when 5 years ago, nothing like this existed in the space, we were asking parents, like, how do you manage all of these logistics? Obviously, the answers we got were what you would expect: a whiteboard, a school calendar PDF, a
Yeah,
chart,
not well.
a star chart. And all of these are disaggregated, right? And they don't speak to each other. And what we found was that there is one system that runs every home, and that is the default primary caregiver's brain. Like that is the system that runs the home. And so, how do we externalize that in such a way that everyone can participate in that system and do so in an empowered, independent way, especially when we think about kids' participation? And that is like really core to like the problem that I saw even becoming a new parent, is like, how do I make all this stuff in my brain visible in such a way that I can bring that village, to your point about the village, into it? Like, how can I bring a village in if it all lives in my head, and it feels harder to bring them into my head than it does to just do it myself? And so I think bringing the village in is first about creating a system that is visible, that everyone can participate in, and then the village knows how to support you and knows how to be there for you.
Yeah, there's something about like seeing it that I feel like equates to being able to lend that support.
Exactly.
Amanda, I want to like reach through the screen and give you a hug because like I feel for you. Being freshly postpartum and being a founder is so difficult. I could honestly like cry, but I know that the passion you have for your business that you're building, or not to put words into your mouth, but how I feel makes me be able to look at my two boys and be like, I love what I get to do every day. And so I kind of want to talk about, and that's because I'm taking time away from you two, I get to do what I love. I want to talk a little bit about leadership, the reality of building companies while raising tiny humans. And I guess the question for you as another postpartum mom is like, what shifted in your leadership style once you became a mom? And I know you already had a little kid when you were starting Riley. So
Yeah.
give us some wisdom.
I honestly love this question because I was really worried about it before having kids. I had, I think that, classic worry of, am I going to be able to be a leader? Am I going to be able to prioritize? Am I going to feel like really stretched thin in a way that's going to, damage my ability to be a really good mom, but also be a really good like team lead? And what I have found after having kids, especially young kids, is that it's actually probably 10x'd my ability as a leader, mostly because I am so much better at prioritizing now. And I'm so much more efficient with my time because the time that I get with my kids, to me, is sacred. And I want to make sure that I carve out that time every day. It fills my cup, it fills their cup, it makes me a better mom, a better leader. And I have childcare from certain hours in the day. And I know that I have to be as productive as I humanly possibly can during those hours. Otherwise, I can't have that sacred time with my kids. And so really being able to like structure my day, prioritize, and also kind of importantly, say no. Was something I really struggled with before having kids. And now I'm like, can't do it, no time, not a priority. And it's made me a better product manager. Certainly it's made me a better engineer. And it's also made me, I think, a better leader, especially kind of on the like high level strategic, plane.
Yeah, I love that. Anything to add, ladies, what it's like being a leader and a mom, lessons you've taken from becoming a mom that you've brought into leadership? Okay. Oh, Sarah.
I mean, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think, by the way, for those of you on the call, I lost my voice yesterday. This is not what I normally sound like. I think becoming a mom and then a leader, you're just so much more efficient. You're extremely disciplined.
Yeah.
You're savvy with your time. You get really confident in your yeses and your nos, in a way that, I wasn't before. So just something small to add.
How many of you are working from home most of the time? I think also that helps. I know there are people on this call that are thinking about starting a company, considering the entrepreneurial journey. It's hard, right? We don't need to tell you that. But I think being flexible with your time, and for me, that means being able to work from home so I can pop out and like see my little baby makes a difference. It would be very difficult for me to do this and then also go to an office every day the way that my partner does. Um,
Can I add
but
more
yeah,
thing?
please.
Sarah's thought made me think of this. The parallels of being a parent and a founder, I think it's like the know your user. It's like, who's your user when you're a parent? It's like your child. So it's like meeting your child where they are, validating how they feel, hearing their feedback, and being able to adapt and adjust your style is not that different than being a founder and understanding your users and listening to feedback and adapting your style and growing a team. And so I think there's a lot of crossover, actually, the more I think about it. This feels like a LinkedIn post to be
I
co-written,
I
all of
love
us.
that idea. Let's all collaborate on it
Yeah.
for real. Um, I think so I was a founder before having kids, and looking back, I was like, would I ever do this again as a mom? So first of all, anybody who did that, you're giving me like so I'm so inspired. Um, but it's always been a question for me about like if I want to take time to be with my kids, am I being ambitious enough? And if I'm taking like time away from work to be with my kids, am I being present enough? I feel like I always have that ambition versus presence guilt. And it's something that I just am continuing to work on. But if that resonates with you, then I see you because it's really difficult to do both. And especially with these like little babies at home, right, Amanda? And Susie, you have a 17-month-old. They're little kids that like need us. So I try to like put my phone away when I'm with the kids, but if anyone has any tips, just like let me know. I'm here for them.
I also think it's even harder with the lack of sleep.
Yeah.
My son is 6 weeks old. He's nowhere close to sleeping through the night. And that like ambition versus presence piece really tugs at me right now because I'm just so much more tired than I usually am.
Yeah.
And it's like, wanting to, and I'm also nursing. And so it's one of the other benefits of working from home. And so it's like, I want to be able to be present, but also I'm so tired and like,
Yeah.
am I giving enough of myself in all of the corners of my life? It's something I ask myself every single day. I'm
Yeah.
definitely with you there, Lily.
Susie, you took the words out of my mouth bringing up that Sheila quote, because I think about what she built, with care.com and the other players that were in the space around the time. There weren't any. So the courage it takes to raise your hand and be like, if not me, then who? Especially when she didn't have this cohort of peers to look up to or, look side to side to. So I want to zoom out for a moment and talk about where we think this space is heading. Where we think we'll be in 5 to 10 years is something that I was thinking about, or where do you see the biggest innovation, you know, biggest opportunity for innovation? Is it tech? Is it community? Is it care? What are you guys seeing? What are you thinking about? Um, I can say like for me, I also had postpartum depression. So in a world where Sarah, like you, I was the first parent in my friend group to have a kid. I was rocked by that. I then had postpartum depression. Like it always was very lonely for me, despite having my mom's a therapist and I have really good girlfriends and I do have a sister to lean, on. So for me, the answer is I hope we see community advancements, but I'm curious what other folks have to say.
Yeah, I can jump in. I think the answer that maybe is expected of me to give as someone who's building Hearth, I think like when people think of Hearth, the thing they think of is logistics, right? Like how does Hearth help solve logistics? And that will always be core to what we do for customers. It's absolutely a pain point. It's an acute pain
Yep.
point, something that we will always serve. But 5 years in, what I can fundamentally say is like logistics are table stakes, like that's not where we're focused. Like we want to serve that need. We want to meet those pain points that we know our families experience, but this is not about logistics. This is not about optimization of family, right? Like, this is about empowering families and providing the support systems they need to be able to connect with one another. And that's really where we're focused. And I hope that as we think about tech, meaning technology's involvement in parenting, that's the way that we're thinking about shaping that future. I don't think anyone here on this call is saying technology is going to replace parents. Like, I talk about that all the time. Like, Hearth is not a parent, right? Like, that's not who we are. Like, parents ultimately know best. We're not trying to become a parent.
Yeah.
We're trying to provide support systems so that families can feel empowered and connected, and to give kids the confidence they need to grow as well. And that's where I hope the space is heading, is creating the support system so that we can really thrive and do that well together.
I love that confidence word. Like, it really is so true. If you can empower your kid to feel confident in the logistics, your partner, like, it really is game changing. Amanda, I saw you go off mute, so if you have anything to add.
I do. You know, one of the things that I've been tracking in a similar vein is that we actually have a dearth of pediatricians in the United States, and that's going to get worse over the next 5 years. We have we have a clinical advisory board of pediatricians. We've got a pediatric neurologist on staff, and they talk a lot about how there's a risk that access to good quality pediatric care, and especially pediatric advice, is going to become more and more difficult to get.
That's scary.
It is really scary, and especially if you don't live in like a major metro area, you can live in what they like to call a pediatric hole, which is, you know, you may have a pediatrician, but the quality, like the recency of their training could be kind of all over the place. And so one of the things that I really hope tech and really just the space is able to enable in the next 5 years is access to really incredible like advice, really good quality information. To me, that's one of the most important pieces, is letting folks know, letting parents especially know, like, what is and is not supported by data, what is and is not, you know, worth worrying about, and what they can let go of from a pediatric and like a clinical standpoint, is going to be really important. And that's going to be more and more difficult for a lot of people to access. So being able to democratize that in a way, and really, you know, to Susie's point, empower parents to make really great decisions for their families. That's something that I really hope. I hope that is also table stakes in 5 years. I hope that we have such good access to such good quality care and information that it's almost an afterthought, is my hope in 5 years.
Yeah. I love that. And I did that pediatric thing is true. I think for maternal health, I think it is true in a lot of niche fields that affect women. So that's scary.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything else to add?
I guess the only thing I have, I totally love that you said democratize, and I love the sort of like accessibility factor here, which, you know, the ability to afford like a $300 to $500 sleep consultant or like one-on-one lactation support, it's just not possible for 90% of the country. And why is that information, or why is that experience reserved for somebody who has disposable income to spend on these experts? So the idea that this information can be made equitable and that confidence can feel so widespread is just, it gives me like the shivers. And I think to Susie's point, the idea that we're not replacing parents, it's almost the opposite. It's almost we're like letting technology do the technology thing and letting parents do the parent thing. Like when I used to build tech for schools, we'd be like, we're not replacing the teacher. We want the teacher to be spending the time doing the thing that only a teacher can do. Like we want parents to be spending the time that only parents can do. Like read your child a book. Like don't spend your time meal planning. Like that feels like something technology can do. So it's like, where can we outsource? Where can we specialize? And to Amanda's point, like where can we democratize this information so that it feels accessible and you know, available across the board?
Susie, I saw you perk up with that. You love that meal planning word, because I mean, you do such a good job at that, but it's a great example of like, that is not worth your mental load when there are tech solutions available. If that's not what brings you joy, like some people, of course, love doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love
Uh,
it. I think it
Go
helps
ahead.
us think about like what the guardrails are as we build in tech. I think a lot of us have some element of AI inclusion into the product, obviously. And I'm sure we're all thinking thoughtfully about what does it look like to build responsibly for families in this space of AI, right? Like Hearth being an example, some of the things we do is we automate a lot of data entry into Hearth, right? So if you get the complex school calendar sent home to you as a PDF in a backpack. You can take a picture of it. It instantly gets uploaded into Hearth. We do that with meal planning lists, whatever. But when we were building that, we really had to ask ourselves the question of this is AI generated information that is shared with the family and put in front of kids. So what does that mean? And what is our responsibility in that moment? And just as an example, one thing we do is like we automate all of that seamlessly, but you as the parent approve every single thing that what we call Hearth Helper, our AI assistant, you approve every single thing that Hearth Helper adds to Hearth. Like it's a quick, simple approval. You can have 20 events where you just click approve all. It takes 1 second. But ultimately, that was a core decision on our end where we added an extra step in the process, but we intentionally did so to put parents in the driver's seat of how they interact with AI and our how they interact with AI when it comes to Hearth, particularly since we put information in front of kids. And I think as we think about the future of the space, like that's an area of responsibility that we all have as founders to build mindfully.
I love that you said that because if I like my first gut reaction to that is like friction, right? Like we all hear like you don't want any friction, you just want to get those users in. But how powerful when trust and technology don't always go hand in hand to be like, no, you know what? We're going to put this step in. It may cause some friction, but it ultimately lets us build a better product and a more trustworthy product. Which is so important, especially when AI is in front of all of us all the time. And let's be honest, sometimes the answers that just come back are not, and I'm sure it will improve, but like are just not trustful. Yeah, so I love that. I want to bring up a question from the community. Lucy said, I think all of your services sound so amazing and needed in the space. How do you all think about the onboarding process, getting parents started? I know I often think systems or services are great or parenting and other development courses I want to take, but I struggle with putting the time in and get started and follow through the initial pain points to see the benefits. That is like such a good question. Emily, I saw you wrote a reply. Why don't you
I'll just
give it to
summarize
us? Yeah,
because
please.
here I am, like just typing away. I love this question so much. And I think that this is actually like a perfect, I don't know, AI benefit because I believe that the more you invest of your detail, your context, your, the personal situations of your family, the better your experience should be. It's like you're meeting your therapist. It's like I'm meeting a therapist and I don't want to have to reintroduce myself 6 months later. That therapist should be able to remember the thing that I told them 6 months ago and make the connection and remember the details and context, and the memory should build. So while it should not feel like homework, I believe at least these onboarding experiences is really an investment in your experience with the product that could only be made more personalized, more sort of like nuanced based on what you give it. And I agree. There have been so many times where I've like downloaded an app, started a free trial, filled out a survey, and you can't get from like that one point to where you actually get value out of the product. And so I really feel like the more that we can share back with you the benefits of doing that, the better, right? So like if you tell us that you have a doctor's appointment in 2 weeks, in 2 weeks and 2 days, we should be able to follow up with you and say, how did the doctor's appointment go? So it really should feel that simple. And so that was my sort of like summary of whatever it is.
Yeah.
I wrote back to Lucy.
Yeah. Great answer. Anything to add? If not, I want to make sure we are answering questions in the chat. But Susie, it looks like you want to say something.
Oh, just because like it's such an incredible question. Like the product that I've built is a 27-inch hardware device you have to hang on your wall. You
Look
have
at it.
you have to mount it. You have to input your information into it. You have to download our app. Like I am, as a parent myself, so understanding about the hesitation and barrier that like the perception of that causes, right? It's like
Yeah.
I'm a busy parent with kids and you're asking me to do what? I see the end goal, but how do I get to the end goal? And so it's more just to say that like that is something we think about at Hearth every single day, is like, how do we create the exact like, how do we communicate the value that Emily just said? Because to her point, once your information lives in Hearth, it is literally life-changing. Like, you are no longer like processing disaggregated sources of information. You are no longer rewriting a whiteboard. You are no longer redoing a sticker chart every month. Like, it is literally life-changing the way that it's automated, but getting from point A to point B as a busy parent is a whole other story. And so I think it's something that we're constantly working on, not only figuring out how to make that onboarding process more seamless, but communicating the value of what that end state can provide. I almost think about it like hiring. Like sometimes I'm so overwhelmed doing the things that I have to do that I don't have time to hire someone. But obviously, if I were to go hire someone, it would like the way that that would pay off in the end would have leaps and bounds of
I
being
love
from the
that.
business. But it's like I can't figure out the time to go hire someone, like that's how that process feels. And I'm excited actually to see, to Emily's point, the way that AI actually makes those processes easier on families. The
And
onboarding
Lucy, you're
process.
showing up here, so you're doing a great job. Sarah, that's one thing I envy so much about your business. Like it has such a clear use case, and people have a need for a registry. You need these products, you register for them, you send them to your gift givers, and you kind of like it's so much work for such a specific thing, and then you do it and you get support. You get the gifts, you get everything that you need. Um, so anyway, I'm envious of that.
Thank you.
Um, okay. It looks like we have someone, Kaya, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, let me know. She's a mom of an almost 2-year-old, second baby on the way. I'm also a solo technical founder working on a product to support new parents in infant sleep or infant feeding, sorry, and still has a full-time job. Just like take a deep breath and like give yourself some grace right now for all those things. My question for you all is how did you decide to make the leap going full time, all in with your startup? Sarah, I want to start with you specifically because I have a feeling Emily, Amanda, Susie, and I were all venture backed. Sarah is doing an incredible thing called bootstrapping her business, which means she's self-funding it. So, Sarah, why don't you kick us off? Because I feel like, I don't know, that almost feels scarier to me.
Yeah. Excuse me. It was really scary. Kaya, that's
Uh-oh.
this huge.
Oh, there you are.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Is it my voice?
No.
Okay. What I was saying, Kaya, congratulations. You've made it further than most people ever will in their life. So congratulations on having an idea and starting to work on it. I quit my full-time job when I was 6 months postpartum with my first daughter. And there's really only a few reasons that I was able to make that leap. The first is that I had an extremely supportive partner who recognized that I was so unfulfilled. Like some of you, I had extreme postpartum depression, some suicidal ideation. I was tinkering on.
She's gonna come back.
Me?
Yep, here we are.
Is it my Wi-Fi?
It's not your voice, it may be your Wi-Fi. We lost you on suicidal ideation. So
Oh, cliffhanger. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna try to get really concise in case you guys lose me again. There's only a few reasons, Kaya, I was able to make the leap. One, I had an extremely supportive partner.
yes.
I quit my job when I was 6 months postpartum. We made a few changes financially as a family in order for me to leave my job. I was an equal contributor to our household. Very scary, but the risk felt worth it. Kaya, if you decide to make that full-time job, I believe in you. It is possible. The world needs your ideas. And it is very scary, but no one will ever be able to take this away from you. And you will feel so proud to have this story one day, no matter what this turns into, that you can share with your kid and say, hey, this is a really hard thing I did, but here's what I learned. Here was I able to do. Here's how it made me better. So it's very scary, but I had a small idea and a very supportive partner. And honestly, that's how I was able to make the leap.
Love that.
And
I
like
would
all of
add-
us, I believed I could do it. So a little delusional, but it takes a little
I would add
A little
one
delusional, a
quick
lot
thing.
delusional for me.
I don't know if this is helpful, but I am a like very black and white thinker, which can lead me to having like very like binary thoughts and the thing that I had to continue to tell myself is like this is not binary and like I can make a different decision at a different point. And that is not dismissing the risk that you take when you leave something stable and go into instability. I'm by no means minimizing it. It was so scary. But in order to get myself to do that, I had to tell myself I can make a different decision if I need to make a different decision. And also, like, you can see farther ahead than you think you can, if that makes sense. Like, it's not like one day you like have money and the next day you don't, if that makes sense. Like Sarah said, you kind of make some practical decisions around that financial roadmap and you can see kind of the trends of what's happening, which enables you to make a decision with more information than you would think you would, if that makes sense. Like still today running this company, I still have thoughts of like tomorrow we're going to be out of money. But the truth is like tomorrow we're not going to be out of money. Like we have an understanding of what that roadmap looks like, and we have trends that point in that direction. And so it helps you be more empowered to make decisions when you realize like it's not binary. I can make a different decision and it's not black and white, if that makes sense. Hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, that is so helpful, I think. And you're getting kudos in the chat, so it is. Amanda?
I would also add, again, congratulations, Kaya. This is such an exciting time and just amazing that this is something that you're considering. You can do it. And for me, it was really, I became really obsessed with the idea and it became kind of a like point of no return where like I was spending all of my time and energy and focus like really thinking about this idea that like wormed its way into my brain. And it was almost like I had, like, as I mentioned earlier, like I have to do this because if I don't do it, I don't think it's going to get done. And I can't think about anything else. And so I'm willing and like very excited to spend so many hours of my day thinking about building, iterating on, trying to make this thing real. And I feel like having that passion is very, very helpful because it can be a long road. It can be a lot of really nice highs, a lot of really low lows. And that kind of excitement and energy and interest carries you through all of that. And can kind of keep you going even when, it's a little bit more difficult, which it can be, especially as a mom, especially with little kids.
Yep.
I'm here with my 6-week-old here who's nursing.
Yeah, I didn't want to call you out for that, but I was like, damn, she's a badass.
But it's like, you can do that and you can do it with really little kids. Women are amazing. Moms are incredible. And so I hope that you do. I hope that we see your idea soon.
Me too. And let us know how we can support you. We kind of loosely talked about, fundraising versus bootstrapping. That is a choice you have to make. It's kind of it's not choice number one, but it's one of the first choices you have to make when starting a company. Anything you've learned from the path that you've taken, so whether that's VC money or bootstrapping, to share with the group. I don't really know where I'm going with that question, but I guess when Amanda, you were talking, like, I really felt like you were saying, because I was so obsessed with it that like I put myself through a fundraise while also having extreme morning sickness, and I was like, why am I doing this to myself? And I was like, oh, because I'm obsessed with what I'm doing and it needs to exist. Any fundraising versus bootstrapping tips for the crowd?
You can't bootstrap a hardware company, let me
No,
tell
you can't. No, that is a capital intensive business.
So I have no advice. I had only one option.
Yeah. Anyone else? Why you chose to raise versus bootstrap? Sarah?
I mean, for us, we chose to stay bootstrapped. 2 reasons. One, my co-founder came from a Series A startup, so he had a lot of context and experience raising. And it was honestly his strong personal preference that we didn't, if we didn't have to. So that was one. And 2, he's my CTO. He's an engineer and a full stack developer, and he has built our entire platform. So I think if we would have raised to have someone build the platform, but we didn't need to. So we are in an extremely unique and fortunate position in the fact that Tamise has built the registry that so many people use today. So if you are comfortable growing slow and not being able to move as fast as you would like, then bootstrapping might be the route for you. But yeah, I mean, this is my first startup, so I have zero VC. You know, we didn't raise, we never have, and I have no other prior experience. So my only experience is this, and almost 6 years later, and we're still standing.
When you told me that about your co-founder and how you both met, which was like basically through like a dating app experience of co-founders, I was like, you BITCH, you have the dream scenario. I love your story there. I bootstrapped my first business and raised for my second business. And one thing that I will say here is that when you're bootstrapping, at least for me, the mindset was like, we don't have money to like try anything. We have money to like keep the lights on, to hire people. This is my experience, not yours, Sarah. I'm not like projecting it on you, but like it was for me, I sold that business, and when starting this one, I was like, wait, I need like real capital to experiment with. This market is large. There's a problem that needs to be solved, and I want more than just like a operating budget. So that was my reason this time around. Amanda, Emily, anything to add?
Very similar here, where again, coming from like a very growth product background, I kind of made the calculation that, we were going to need to try a lot of stuff, and that the pace, really the speed to learning was going to be easier with more money, and that it was going to allow us to build a better product more quickly. And in my mind, hopefully be more successful in doing that. And so it's really unlocked for us is just this ability to try and pivot and like see what messaging is landing and see like how we can improve the product and get the volume of usership that we need in order to be able to do that with confidence. And so that was really why we went venture. But I will say that like I also raised while, with a little kid just like horribly sick. And, it was, I will say like, it can be tough, but having that conviction that I mentioned earlier, and like the obsession, I think is very helpful in that scenario too.
I couldn't agree more. It was like pitch, throw up, pitch, throw up. Emily?
Oh my gosh. The breastfeeding, the story, it's so inspiring. I love hearing this. I guess we just closed a round, which was great. And it allowed us to be able to scale quickly, which is great in a lot of what our mission is all about, which is keeping these services accessible. And so that's been like a big priority for us. The other thing I was going to say, more along like the process of raising, like I'm like a public school teacher from New Jersey. Like, what am I doing in these pitch meetings in the middle of Silicon Valley? Like the experience that it's provided professionally, I think I would not trade, because I think it's grown skills in myself as a founder and as a leader that I've really didn't really know existed. And the other thing I will say is that like you are held accountable to the things that you say you're going to do. And it really makes you dig deep into your product, into your user base, into your metrics, and prove out these goals and objectives that you're sort of speaking to. And I think it's kept us going and growing, having that, support from investors, but also that expectation. And I think beyond the financial contributions, which is, how we all survive, and it's all wonderful, the support, networking, and just continued feedback from leaders in the investment community has been really sort of invaluable for us.
Cool. Susie, do you want to add something?
It's okay. I just feel
Don't do hardware is what you were going to say again.
Oh, I could say that, but do hardware if you fundamentally believe in your ethos like we do, but actually I was just going to say, obviously, like you said, 4 out of 5 VC backed. And so we provide that experience. I do think that just because of that nature, like, I don't want to like overlook like the benefits of being bootstrapped, like I think, listen, less than 2% of venture capital funding goes to female founders. So while yes, we're VC backed, I like to say we're bootstrapped VC backed. Like as a hardware company, we have raised nowhere the amount that
people aren't throwing money at women.
as a hardware company, like the amount we have raised like is actually laughably small if you go look at other hardware software companies in the space. And so I like to say we're bootstrapped in that sense. And I do think there are benefits to that. Like I think we've really had to learn what it looks like to build a really good business really fast. Like we are profitable on every sale. We are profitable on first purchase. There's no way that we would develop that level of financial discipline and rigor if we didn't have razor thin margins that we had to be accountable toward, because otherwise we're running out of money, quite literally. And so while we aren't bootstrapped, I just want to say, like, I do think there's so much discipline that you learn from building a bootstrap business. And yeah, like you don't deal with the complexities and dynamics of having investors, some of which is great. Like Emily said, we have some investors that I would like, okay, take a bullet for is dramatic. I probably wouldn't take a bullet for them, but that I deeply admire. And then we have other investors that honestly are sometimes a distraction. And so I just wanted to like kind of balance that conversation, that I think there are pros to the bootstrapped environment. They're just very different.
When I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and when I host conversations like this, what I like to end on is one word from everybody. So, Emily, I'm going to spotlight you and make you go first. And the question is, I couldn't do this without blank.
My team. It's 2 words. Don't
Okay. No,
yell.
that counts. It needs to just like be a small little answer. Okay,
Okay.
great. Your team. Amanda.
Words right out of my mouth. My team was going to be mine.
Okay, that's fine. That's great.
It's so
My
great
team.
building with amazing people.
Susie.
It's similar, but I would say co-founders. I'd never want to do this alone personally.
Mm-hmm. Sarah.
I mean, I couldn't do this without, on a business side, I couldn't do this without Tamise.
Yeah. Mine is going to be my mom founder friends, because this is so hard, and it's conversations like these that make me show up. And so I'm so thankful for all of your work. You know, we are all going after a very similar market. It takes integrity to be able to show up on a conversation like this. And so I just really admire all of you. I'm cheering all of you on. And I just wanted to say thank you for being part of this conversation and for the work that you do. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Lily.
All
Thank
right.
you so much, Lily. This is amazing.
Awesome. I loved meeting you virtually, Amanda, and seeing everyone else. So thank you guys so much. And hopefully we get to do this again.
Love that.
Thanks,
All
Lily.
right. Bye.
Bye.